Hi there, everybody. It's Fred Thomas, and you are watching Rideable TV, the home of all things bike, frame and wheel, and AD bikes. And this is part one on our series that explores who the sponsors are of the UCI World Tour Pro cycling teams that we're all watching on the Tour de France. So let's take a look at the presentation. We've got 23 teams. This is the first one, AG2R Citroën. I'm not sure how they actually pronounce it in French, but AG2R La Mondiale is a French financial services firm. They do insurance. I'm not sure if it's a bank or not, but financial services. Citroën is a French automotive brand, among perhaps the smallest ones out there. It's not even in the top 30, but it's been around for a long time, and people have heard of it. Some people might even know it for the Deux Chevaux, which is that funny-looking small car. It has this team has high recognition, or the sponsors have high recognition in France, I'm sure. Global audiences, Citroën, they're picking it up. AG2R, maybe it's a French rapper. Donnez-moi un beat, dansez-vous. I don't know. I'd never heard of it. The team rides BMC, and if you were to try and think of this team in terms of American sponsors, well, AIG Buick might be an equivalent. The next team is Astana Premier Tech. This is a very murky sponsorship. It's basically Astana is an airline. It's also the capital city of Kazakhstan. But their primary sponsor is a sovereign wealth fund. It's called Samruk Kaznia, and I think you can actually see the lettering on the shorts of their kit. A sovereign wealth fund, well, you don't see too many of those things around, but they exist. They're in Asia mostly, and it's a government-controlled investment fund that basically owns big chunks of the economy and things like the railroad, the postal service, the airline, mines, heavy machinery, stuff like that. And they sponsor bike teams. And Premier Tech is one of the biggest companies you've never heard of. It's a company that makes the machines that make packaging. So it's very, very high up there in the supply chain. I've never heard of it, but maybe if you're in the industry, you have. I think this team gets a lot of recognition. The name gets a lot of recognition in Europe. That's where they've been mostly. Global audiences, again, they might pick up on the Astana airline connection. A bit of trivia for you is Astana has been renamed to Nur Sultan, which has been named after the original one and only president that Kazakhstan has had, Nur Sultan Nazarbayev. Just a point about the countries that are sponsoring teams. I think they're very eager to raise their profile with the world. Kazakhstan was part of the Soviet Union for most of its existence. They're very keen to break away from that, and I think that's one of the reasons why this country is such a long-term sponsor of cycling. They ride wheelier bikes. If you were to try to think of a U.S. equivalent, it would be very difficult because there are no sovereign wealth funds in the United States. But I put in Department of the Treasury and Delcor, again, a big company that we've never heard of. Bora-Hansgrohe, this was the inspiration, I think, for this whole exercise. I had no idea what Bora was. We kept hearing about it because of Peter Sagan. Turns out Bora is a manufacturer of hoods, not the hoods that go over your head, the hoods that go over your cooking range that suck up all the hot air, the hot air. Ventilation systems, the stuff that you buy once or twice in your entire life, but they're essential. You can't cook without ventilation. And Hansgrohe is also a German company that makes kitchens and faucets, for your bathroom, beautiful chrome fittings. And I think they have very high recognition in Germany. Global audiences, again, I've been watching Peter Sagan and Bora-Hansgrohe for as long as he's been on that team. I had no idea what Bora-Hansgrohe was, but it sounds technology, it sounds private equity, but it's actually housing. They ride Specialized, and if you were to think of a U.S. equivalent, it would be Imperial Kohler. Moving on to Cofidis Credit Solutions. This is a French online consumer finance company. It's pretty unique in that way. It's not a bank. They don't have physical branches. It's all online. So if you need a loan for a house or a car, the whole transaction is done through the internet and through a phone. They have very high recognition in France. Global audiences, I thought it was a pharmaceutical company. Ask your doctor about Cofidis. But it's not. It's finance. It's financial services. And as far as for as long as I've been watching the Tour de France, I've never seen them win. Get on the podium. In fact, they haven't been on the podium in the Tour de France since 1998. They don't care. I think they just the Cofidis Corporation has to be in front of the French consumer all the time, and their bike team does a great job of that. You see these guys, they take flyers all the time. They're out there. One of these days, they're going to win. I'm sure of it. They ride to Rosa. And if it was sponsored, if it was a U.S. team, I think it would be called Quicken Loans. And we have now Deceuninck Quick-Step. We've heard of this team, for a long time. And even I began to figure it out that Quick-Step had something to do with flooring. Deceuninck came along. I had no idea what they were doing. Turns out it's a Belgian manufacturer of window and roofing and door products. And Quick-Step, I know even more clearly now that it's not just tiles, but it's wood and laminate and carpet, flooring materials that would go in your house. Definitely high recognition in Belgium and Europe, and global audience. I'm sure they have recognition, with the world of watchers. But it may not be totally clear that this company is involved in housing. They're on Specialized, as we all know, and if it were sponsored by a U.S. company, I think it would be called Anderson Lumber Liquidators. So there we go. That's the first installment of our series on the sponsors of the team. Take a look at our playlist for the other parts, and we will talk to you again soon.